Hey guys, what we're going to do today is continue with the order of operations, but we're going to kick it up a notch, and we are going to work with really difficult order of operations problems that have these funky symbols in them. So a long time ago, it would be that an order of operations problem, if it had some different grouping symbols, it would have these parentheses, and then it would have parentheses outside the parentheses. And then it might even have another parentheses outside of that. And all of the grouping symbols were just parentheses. And that got a little confusing when you had parenthesis right beside each other and all of that stuff. Now it has, we've switched to having some different symbols. And instead of having all parentheses, we have these that look like this that are called braces. And the ones that are a little more square around the edge are called brackets. They all function just like a regular parenthesis. So sometimes, you might feel like I can't keep straight which are brackets and which are braces. So this is one way I like to think about it. A lot of you probably filled out NCAA brackets for, maybe the March Madness tournament, or maybe you play a sport where there are brackets for a tournament. I like to think of the brackets in that way. Whenever you put the team you want to win on a line, this part resembles this part of the bracket. So that's how I remember that the ones that are real straight and rectangular are called brackets. And then I like to think of the braces like the braces you have on your teeth, right? So whenever you have braces on your teeth, if you kind of do a sideways view of your teeth, it kind of sticks out and they're a little bit jaggedy, if that makes sense. So I think of brackets and braces in that way. Typically, the first thing that you see are going to be parentheses, and then if there are some things outside of that, it's going to be brackets. And if there's something on the very outside, then we've got to make those funky little braces. You do your best with them. I know some of you can draw them better than others. Just do your best. So those are brackets and braces. Now, whenever we get into it, we are just going to do the order of operations just as we have done. Again, parentheses include brackets and braces, and so you start with the innermost parentheses, the innermost grouping symbols. So in this particular problem, we see braces, we see brackets, and boom, the innermost are these parentheses right here. So I'm going to start with 1 times 3. 1 times 3 is 3. Then, remember, you have to rewrite all of this stuff. And I know sometimes we think it's a pain, but that's what we've got to do. Remember, we want to funnel our answer down till we get just the one answer that's we circle at the end, and it's like a gumball popping out of the gumball machine. How about for right now, you stop and you write the word OSU, because I showed you earlier how OSU is, would have been my choice for at least a couple of those games on the NCAA bracket. So write OSU on your paper if you're watching this. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, again, we see here are some braces, and we go into a bracket. That's the innermost grouping symbol. So I'm going to do 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. I've just used that, so now I can just replace it with without the brackets there, right? I got rid of that now. And then if you really want to, you probably could just change those to parentheses at that point if you don't want to try and make those funky braces anymore. I'm still working within my braces or my grouping symbols, and so now I've got addition and subtraction. So I know that means I'm going to go left to right with addition and subtraction. 4 plus 6 is 10, 10 minus 1, and then that 2 is out beside it. I still need to finish in my parenthesis or my bracket or brace, whatever I want it to be there. 10 minus 1 is 9, and now I have a 2 and a 9. My answer is not 29. Remember, when a 2 is touching a grouping symbol, it's touching a bracket or brace, and it doesn't have any instructions, any other operation there. It means times. So at this point, you might just want to do that. Or maybe you could just say, I know this is times, so I'm just going to put in an X for multiplication. But the last thing we're going to do is 2 times 9, and the answer is 18. We circle it, and that's our final answer. It pops right out of that funnel there at the bottom. Okay, one more problem with this. Again, we always start with the innermost part, the innermost grouping symbol. So I look at this and I see we've got grouping symbols here and then separate grouping symbols over here. So sometimes I say it's okay if there are 2 separate groupings, you could do 2 steps at one time. So I'm going to go to the innermost right here. 3 plus 5 is 8. I'm going to rewrite this, put it in the bracket and then in the brace, because I have to keep the brace there because that tells me I'm doing all of that before I go and start to add this in. Now again, because this is separate, I feel like I can go ahead and do this part. 10 minus 1 is 9. So I can write 5 times 9 because those don't impact each other. They're on separate areas there. Okay? Oh, can you see me? Huh. Let me see what's going on with this. Okay, sorry about that. I had low battery. I'm going to